you're getting a sneak peek into our conversation about suits.
Yes.
And nice clothing. We will be starting the live show here in just a moment. If you could please share the stream in different places, that we would greatly appreciate it. And comment.
Yeah. Tell us what you're doing on this beautiful Friday night.
What was I doing? Oh, yeah.
You're sharing the stream.
Yeah. I had to remember what app to open.
The Facebook app?
Yes. Yeah, I figured it out.
I'm just saying, like, that's not exactly rocket science. Okay. Just let it go. For those of you at home, Daniel gave me a bit of a look.
Shut the fuck up. Look. I almost just shared our stream in a group called Normalizing Atheism.
That would not have been ideal.
Not related at all.
No.
So there's probably some good. There's a way to bring that discussion into Star Wars at some point, but all right. I think we're all ready to go.
Yeah, it's about time.
I think it's time for hyperspace. Let's go.
We bypassed the compressor and flew through hyperspace. And now we're here.
There's no compressor. Welcome to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
This ship doesn't have a compressor. Now you know. This is our little Star Wars show where we talk about Star Wars and the MCU and sometimes Batman and other nerdy things that titillate our nerd. Never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Thank you for not finishing that sentence.
There was some of that sounded okay in my brain, and then
then you started saying it, and you're like, I should stop.
It's like, I'm going to get sent to jail if I say that. Anyway, welcome. We're glad you're here. We're glad we're here. There's some pretty cool stuff today, actually. We've got some Star Wars news, including a reported Star Wars Acolyte plot leak, and when we get there, we'll make sure to, it could possibly be spoilers. We're doing a Star Wars story time.
Woo!
Obi-Wan number 2, which is always going to be a blast. If you don't know what Star Wars story time is, it's really neat. I read a comic and retell the story, kind of like Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec, where he tells a TV goes out, like everyone's watching something and the TV goes out. So he just from memory tells the story of Roadhouse, and everyone is really into it and everything. It's kind of like that. Anyway,
very important question: does this comic feature anyone offering to kiss Obi-Wan?
No. No. There's no discussion about Obi-Wan's sexuality in this particular one at all. This is a live show, by the way.
Yes.
So please feel free to drop us a chat, say hi, tell us what you're thinking, and we will respond when we can in between different things. And thanks as always to our friend Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Wars Veritas, which are a couple of Facebook groups that deserve your attention. It's very anti-clickbait and very Mike Zero, really.
Star Wars news without the bullshit.
Yeah, and it's nice to be in a Star Wars community where everyone just comes together to just kind of hate on Mike Zero and the fandom menace and all those other douchebag idiots.
The worst people in the world.
But of course, thank you to you, the person watching this. And a reminder that we are on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch, all of which are streaming platforms where you can check out our content. You should go and follow all of them. And if someone was to go follow us on Twitch, we would have 6 followers on Twitch.
Oh, wow.
We have more than that. But after this, 7 o'clock p.m. Central-ish will be our Star Wars Battlefront 2 stream with our friends at Gremlin Squad. That will be a blast. The night before last, we got hate mail on our first match.
Oh,
it was one of those nights. People were just in rare form on the night before last. I'll be leveling up my Emperor Palpatine some more. So let's talk about some Star Wars news.
Okay,
what's going on in the world of Star Wars?
Well, Andor is coming up.
Yes,
even though it got delayed.
Fuck that. I know this came out a week ago, and I totally get it. This is not new news about it getting delayed. First of all, I'm still pissed that it got delayed. But second, I'm really pissed that they like.
They just snuck it in at the back of a trailer.
It's like they threw the trailer. It was like waving shiny keys in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, look at this pretty thing!" Oh, it's a whole entire month, and I was like, "This shit's coming out in like 3 weeks. It's gonna be a lot of fun."
No,
fucking Star Wars.
Anyway, ahead of that,
it's probably Brie Larson's fault,
obviously. So, showrunner, writer, and director Tony Gilroy gave an interview with Total Film, and he was talking about like his philosophy in making the show. Tony Gilroy, if that name sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you're a fan of the Bourne movies.
Yeah.
The Bourne Identity, Supremacy, whatever the last one.
Those are insanely popular movies, by the way.
They're pretty good.
Because I remember that. Have you seen any of them?
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of them. I've certainly seen the first one. And I remember the first one being kind of like a low budget. Like there wasn't anything like super special about it, other than just how it was made, like how it was like the fight choreography was really cool and everything. And
well, that may have been a deliberate choice, because in this interview Tony Gilroy was talking about how like at the time action movies were all about, you know, who had the biggest explosions and like 18 helicopters and riding on a train with 50 machine guns.
So he's throwing shade at Michael Bay,
and he was just like, you know what, let's just downscale all this to make a, you know, kind of acoustic action movie.
I loved how he put that in because it's like the idea of electric versus acoustic. How like, you know, you do an acoustic cover of Call Me Maybe, and it's like more into. By the way, this
we've gone way afield.
I don't know how I got here, but who sang Call Me Maybe?
Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah. So it turns out she's a terrible singer, and I know this because I watched a video of her sing an acoustic version of Call Me Maybe, and it was so bad. Putting that out there. Also, like that song hasn't been popular for like 5 years or something, but
at least.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tony Gilroy is talking about how he's taking a very similar philosophy to and applying it to Andor. How it's a little bit less bombast and explosions and more based on the character's personal journey and how the action intersects with that.
I love this, by the way. I love a more intimate focus on Star Wars. We saw this a little bit with Rogue One. The action was still actually pretty crazy in Rogue One, but
Rogue One also had a big enough ensemble cast that they didn't have a ton of time to focus on any of the characters.
Right. But like how it was like all of a sudden it's very different Star Wars than what we're used to.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for Star Wars to be I'm waiting for it to be okay for Star Wars to be other things than just what we know from Star Wars, like smaller, intimate, you know, things. I'm really excited about that. I think look, if you would have asked me a year ago when they announced all of these, in fact, I believe I said, I am not excited for Andor at all. This is stupid. I don't care.
You're going to watch it because it has Star Wars in the name.
It is now. I am really stoked for it. Like, I'm so excited after seeing the trailers and stuff. I think it's going to be really great.
In that same interview, Tony Gilroy made a very brave admission.
Oh, yeah?
Said he's not a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah, I saw that too. And this was kind of, you know, they're reporting on this because Star Wars fans are the worst.
Yes.
And that this is going to get everyone to froth at the mouth. And it never ceases to amaze me how really stupid Star Wars fans can be. I'm not saying necessarily you at home watching this.
We're speaking in broad terms.
Yes.
But if you don't know everything about the universe, you can't possibly make anything good in Star Wars.
It's like, he does not have to be a Star Wars fan to make good Star Wars. Mark Hamill is not a Star Wars fan. And I'm sorry, I hate to be the one to break this to you. If you were to come up to Mark Hamill with your fucking Star Wars trivia book and open it up and ask him a random question, you'd be like, I don't fucking know.
I showed up and said some lines and swang a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's like, that was not in my script, so I have no idea what that is. Harrison Ford is not a Star Wars fan.
Harrison Ford fucking hates Star Wars.
He is actively not a Star Wars. He's like the opposite of that. I don't think Carrie Fisher really cared much about it. I think Carrie Fisher really cared about all the people of Star Wars, like all the fans and stuff. That was like her thing.
The cast and crew and whatnot.
George Lucas isn't a Star Wars fan. Like, it's the dude mispronounces every planet name. I was watching I'm not sure that was a George Lucas thing. Well, it had to have been because so if you were to listen to any of the audiobooks from the from Legends content around the time of before the prequels, they were approved. They had to have been approved by Lucasfilm, obviously, and they would commonly mispronounce planet names like B-Spin or. There was a documentary I was watching where instead of Hoth, Lucas kept calling it Hoth, and he just still calls it that. Like it's just like that to him. And I get that that's you could argue that that's the correct pronunciation because of he's the creator, and it's like no bitch. Everyone says Hoth, like we all know that. He just doesn't know that, right? Because he doesn't like George Lucas when he sits down and writes a Star Wars story. He doesn't in that moment say I'm going to call this planet Hoth. He's like, this is going to be a planet. I don't care what the fucking name is. That's not what's important.
Fill it in later.
Yeah,
it's icy. We're going to fill it in fucking Norway.
Yeah, and it has snow monsters. Like, did he call them Wampas originally? No, he's like, it doesn't fucking matter.
The fucking Yeti comes up and fucking scratches.
He probably literally wrote it in his original draft as a Yeti. So, look, you don't have to be a Star Wars fan to make good Star Wars. In fact, there's something to be said about being free of that and not being weighed down by it and being able to focus on things that don't necessarily pertain to pleasing like what kind of fan service that they could get kind of shoved in there,
One of my favorite Star Wars stories is in the video game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. And that was written and directed by a guy who hates Star Wars.
I think I knew about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you're at home just really pissed off that Tony Gilroy doesn't like Star Wars, remember...
He doesn't like Star Wars as much as you do.
Yeah. It doesn't consider himself a hardcore fan. Remember that Rian Johnson is a huge Star Wars fanboy. And I love him for it. But, if you're that kind of person that gets... Every time you see anything related to Star Wars and you have to go to the comment section and bitch about Rian Johnson because he's still living in your head fucking rent-free.
Last Jedi, Anyway. What's next?
Ewan McGregor
thinks
that there's going to be a Kenobi Season 2.
Well, okay.
Which, this isn't
if anyone knows, he would be the guy.
That's true.
He would be the first one that Disney money people would talk to.
Yeah, this isn't another item on our list today where it's an actor who wants something to happen or is open to something happening. I mean, I think he's got a pretty good feel. We know from a thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago that this was originally supposed to be a 3-film trilogy that they had to retool into a series. So
I think it was after Solo came out, and they're like, "Oh, okay, let's just pump the brakes on the movies for a little bit."
Yeah. So I think that there's probably more story to be told about it. I
personally have no idea what story you would do with
I can't. I don't know either because he look, if he left Tatooine even for a second after the events of the first season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's an idiot and wasn't paying attention because Luke could have been killed because he wasn't there. So it would have to happen on Tatooine, which I am generally tired of seeing in shows, in films. Tatooine is just a sandy desert planet. It's not very exciting. But on the same coin, the other side of that coin, there is some stuff from Legends that they could draw from. Some more of that intimate storytelling, where maybe the cast would only be a few people large, and it would kind of concern a smaller problem. The thing is, they definitely could never bring Darth Vader back into it, because that would cheapen everything that happened. Yeah, that's they can't meet up again before So
you know what I want out of that? Give me a Reva spin-off series.
I'm pretty sure that they're talking about it.
Yeah, because Moses Ingram, phenomenal actor, did an incredible job.
Yeah,
I want more of that character.
Yeah, I would like that too.
Speaking of Obi-Wan and Disney Plus, so I kind of rolled my eyes when I read this article because Disney was announcing when they were going to announce things.
Oh yeah, this is an announcement on the announcements.
So do you remember Disney Plus Day from last year?
No, I really don't.
Neither does anyone else.
Is that the point? Is that the point of that question?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Disney has their annual expo / look at all the stuff we're working on show, D23.
Yeah. Now that I've heard of.
Yes, that's scheduled for September.
Yeah.
And this year they moved Disney Plus Day to the day before D23 starts.
Mm-hmm.
And on Twitter, the Star Wars account said, quote, "One more month until Disney Plus Day. Prepare for a day filled with epic events, premieres, surprises, and so much more," unquote.
Yeah.
So that suggests that there's a lot of Star Wars announcements to come out on September 8th.
You know, this story kind of feels like... This story feels like one of the shows that was just about to come out got delayed another month. And people are like, we need some Star Wars news. And they're just kind of, you know, they're kind of guessing that this is when, you know, things will happen.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't think I would do it on a Disney Plus day. I think that if I were to announce big things, I would just do it at D23. Because that's usually what they do.
It could be that D23 has enough other stuff going on that they don't want to overcrowd it.
They're probably going to have a whole new slate of MCU stuff that they're going to do.
Well, it's that, and they probably want to keep Disney Plus Day as a thing, even if they don't have...
That way they can just keep saying Disney Plus.
Yeah,
so everyone knows what it is. Yeah. Also, I can't imagine what they would be announcing, because there's so much stuff that just hasn't been released yet.
I mean, it could just be more trailers for
the stuff that's coming
Ahsoka,
up. Yeah,
whatnot.
I can't imagine. I mean,
we haven't heard anything about Bad Batch lately. Like there was that trailer a couple months ago, but there's a new season of that.
Yeah,
soon.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point actually. So hold on. Well, I'm going to do this one real quick because this is going to take about 4 seconds. Speaking of Disney Plus stuff. Giancarlo Esposito, the esteemed actor who plays Moff Gideon.
Ah, yes.
Also, Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad. Also, there are rumors about him playing Professor X in the X-Men.
Huh.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah, I could see it too. Like I'm not. I didn't hear that and go, "That's fucking crazy."
Like
that
he is very far from the first one I would cast for that role.
Like Patrick Stewart.
But he could make it work.
Right. I think he could too.
A very different Professor X, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, please
he was talking about The Mandalorian the other day, on TikTok, which is a thing the kids use, I think.
Yes. Chinese spyware platform.
Yeah. Says, "I got to tell you, just to share something with you without spoiling anything. Season 3 of The Mandalorian is off the chain. You'll be amazed."
Okay.
Why would he lie?
I mean,
you know,
that's more or less what I expect. So,
it's just a little reminder that Mando Season 3 is coming. They probably... Every one of these actors has a social media schedule that they have to follow. And
Disney's like, okay, you got to put some tweets out. You got to do some Instagram stuff.
It wouldn't surprise me actually if they were like, this post goes on TikTok and this is exactly what you'll say.
Most likely, it's that some social media people at Disney like write all
doing
their
it for
tweets for them and just schedule it and make it happen.
Now, to our big. The big thing that happened this week that really caught my attention is coming from Bespin Bulletin. And
or is that Bespin Bulletin?
Yeah, the Bespin Bulletin. And it's about Star Wars Acolyte. So here's the thing. This is going to involve leaks that may or may not be true. But in the event that they are true, it's going to spoil some of Star Wars Acolyte. And I would hate for that to happen to anyone. Yeah. So if you're not really that concerned about any of that stuff, go away for a few minutes and come back. I
mean, worst comes to worst, the show is like a year and a half out at minimum.
You'll probably forget it before then anyway. Yeah. So this is according to a source that they claim to have at the Bespin Bulletin about...
I read this too. I believe it's a Reddit poster who has a history of being correct on Star Wars stuff,
right?
And then Bespin Bulletin talked to their sources at Lucas and were able to confirm some of it,
which is a little bit more impressive to me than, because there are people on Reddit that just get lucky about stuff, and then like they'll make all these predictions about a show, like this happened in the last season of Game of Thrones. They'll make this whole list of predictions all of them will be wrong except for like one little thing that isn't really that impressive.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're a Redditor who has been right before about leaks, and it just doesn't mean anything, you know. If they really have talked to someone at Disney who's confirmed some of this, it probably means it's real, at least at the moment.
At least at this point, because this show could change dramatically before we ever see any of it.
So the basic plot, the basic like leaked plot, is that and a lot of these are code names, by the way. A character named Melody is a central Jedi character who appears in the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte. Melody is a Padawan learner who makes a connection which leads to a friendship with their lead, Aura, probably also a code name, played by Amanda Stenberg. When her sister Miri is taken by the Jedi. However, there seems to be a time jump by episode 2, as Melody is now a Jedi Knight who has been captured by the Sith Lord of the series, codenamed Paul. I hope it's not a code name. I hope the dude's name is literally Paul.
Like something like Paul Darkstrider.
Yeah. Who forces Aura to kill her friend.
It's a very Sith thing to do.
Right. And then there's another little thing about Aura and Miri taking a boat ride down a river, and they do see an alien creature in the distance toward the end of the river who starts to move toward them, so they hastily turn their boat around and head back to their village. But the big thing that's kind of coming out of this that everyone is kind of buzzing about is that Darth Plagueis, who is, everyone knows, the master to Darth Sidious, apparently learns how to influence midichlorians to create life, is going to be a central and important player in the show. Which I fucking love this idea, by the way. I think we all got this, we all kind of got this sense that Star Wars Acolyte was going to have something to do with the Sith. But we didn't know really where the timeline was.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people were like, oh, maybe it's like Old Republic era stuff.
Yeah, like 500 years before the movies or something.
Look, if the Acolyte ends up being like a Trojan horse Palpatine origin story, I'm gonna shit my pants, because it's like I would love for that story to be told. And this is dangerous as a writer, by the way. Because one of the things that works so well about Palpatine and Plagueis and Yoda
is that we know so very little about them.
We really don't know anything at all. Like, the stuff we know about Yoda is the stuff like he wants everyone to know. No one knows what species he is.
He's 900 years old. He lives in a swamp.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many mysteries and questions about him. It's kind of like also like Voldemort in Harry Potter.
Yes.
There's a lot of his like origins that are purposefully left as a mystery, because it makes you wonder. And they
good writing leaves room for mysteries that the reader can think about and imagine their own answers to.
Yeah, which Star Wars fans are really, really good at, by the way. And they did the same thing for Palpatine. It's one of the reasons why I kind of roll my eyes at people who got really pissed about Snoke dying in Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Because
we didn't know anything about him. Well, who gives a fuck? We didn't know anything about Palpatine when he died the first time.
We did not. The first time we saw him for real, that wasn't like a 10-second hologram in Empire, or certain mentions about the Emperor dissolving the Senate or whatever, is in Return of the Jedi, where he dies. Well, allegedly dies. Well. So it's one of those things where they could really screw it up if they
get too clever about it,
or not clever enough. Like there are so many missteps. However, if done well and handled correctly, it could add a lot of substance to a character that a lot of people really love. And that being Palpatine, I don't think people love Plagueis so much.
I mean, Plagueis is just kind of a guy who gets mentioned and that he's dead.
Yeah. Same amount of mystery. However, everyone's kind of got the sense that he was really kind of a badass, Who I can't remember who wrote it.
There's a book up here that we're looking for.
Yeah. So there's a book called Plageuis that is the Legends origin story for Palpatine, which is not canon anymore.
unfortunately.
Yeah, and it spans a pretty big breadth of time where it kind of starts out with Plagueis, who is an apprentice to this guy named Darth Tenebris, who is a Bith Sith.
Yeah, okay.
So apparently he retired from his career of playing jizz music.
I was going to say, is his lightsaber also a bassoon?
Yeah,
or whatever
exactly. Yeah, a box with a reed sticking out of it. And it explores their thing, and then it explores how Plagueis finds Palpatine, who is a kid on Naboo, who then kills his entire family.
It's like, hey kid, you want to be a Sith? Yeah. Kill your family.
Yeah, allow me to kill everybody. And then a little bit of the drama between them, and about how Plagueis to kind of motivate Palpatine and to piss him off, and just because you know how the Sith are, they gotta play everyone against each other. Has this other like side piece apprentice that he's like seeing on the side and everything, and one of the coolest things about this story is that it gives you a really neat timeline where, and this isn't canon anymore. I wish it was, because it's really cool. When we see Palpatine in Episode 1, up until the very end of the movie of Episode 1, Palpatine is still the apprentice of Plagueis. And the night before the celebration on Naboo, after the war is won, is when he kills Plagueis.
Wow.
Yeah, and becomes the Dark Lord of the Sith.
So he was celebrating at least two things there.
Exactly, and it turns out he had a little side piece too, who was Darth Maul.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm going to train this kid up so that when I can take over, then we'll be the two. You know.
And well, shit, Maul got cut in half.
Yeah.
Darth Tyrannus.
Yeah, exactly. So if they explore this, which it kind of looks like they probably are, as long as they do it really well, I'm here for it. And I guess Darth Plagueis probably is going to be largely a CG character.
Yes.
He belongs to the Moon species, who is how we knew that Snoke wasn't Darth Plagueis, by the way, because it wasn't the right species. Who's got like the pancake head, the tall pancake head. So, yeah, so some leaks. I would not bet money on this being true. However, my first reaction is, oh, this is fake as fuck.
Yeah.
Like this could actually happen.
I was thinking like, it's pretty cool. So Rosario Dawson.
Oh, I like her.
Yeah, she was at the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo.
You know, she is my least favorite character in Rent, the movie.
Well,
yeah,
you're allowed to have least favorites. So she was at a panel talking about her career. She talked about Rent for a little bit, and she was in Marvel's Defenders show on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Huh.
Anyway, of course, they got into Star Wars because she's Ahsoka Tano now.
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters about her identity now. It's the only question she'll ever get in her entire life is about Ahsoka Tano.
So she answered some questions. Apparently, she was like, Dave Filoni was watching an early edit of one of the Ahsoka episodes, and it was like a religious experience for him or something.
Yeah.
I'm just going through these points real quickly because they're just, so when she was working on Star Wars, apparently like learning to use the lightsaber was the hardest thing for her, just because it's very physical and active. Yeah,
because she's not actually a Jedi in real life.
Yeah.
So like she had to learn how to do that stuff.
She was fucking thrilled to do the scenes in Book of Boba Fett, especially the ones with Luke. And apparently her script just straight up said Plo Koon instead of Luke Skywalker.
Oh, they were still doing that for the Book of Boba Fett stuff.
Apparently, yeah.
They must have had that script done before Mando Season 2 came out then.
That would make sense.
Because why else would you?
Yeah.
Like why else would you hide it like that?
So just a memo. If you ever see anything in a modern Disney leak or rumor or anything about Plo Koon, it's Luke Skywalker. Let's see. What's
or it's at the very least not Plo Koon, because he's very dead.
Yes. She was also asked about Grand Admiral Thrawn and if he shows up in the show, and she kind of said, well, if I said anything, that would be kind of a big giveaway, Yeah. So
Also, it's so painfully obvious that that's what it is.
Yes.
That I'm not even sure why people are still.
That's what Ahsoka's entire motivation is at this point.
So and I saw something else also about how, because there's a big character from Legends where Thrawn started, about his he has this right hand guy called Paleon, who hasn't really showed up very much, if not at all, in the new canon stuff. So like all of Thrawn's stuff in Legends happens after Return of the Jedi. That's when he's the biggest danger to the New Republic.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's what ends up happening, is that like there for a time, Grand Admiral Thrawn is like this like really big concern for the New Republic, and there's a whole thing with Luke and stuff. So, Oscar Isaac wants to come back to Star Wars.
Of course he does.
He's done getting burned out. That's what he said. Like a year ago, he's like, I'm tired of Star Wars, and like after a year after doing Moon Knight, he's like, all right, I'm not so tired of Star Wars anymore. I'll do a Star Wars.
What he's not tired of is making money.
Yeah,
which is why he wants to do Star Wars.
Yeah.
So some fans were arguing on Twitter about the end of Empire Strikes Back and how the scene in the medical frigate looks completely disconnected, like it's filmed differently from some other stuff. And they're like, well, was it reshoots? What was it, this or that? Finally, they're like, let's just fucking ask Mark Hamill. Hey, Mark Hamill,
I know
what's the deal with that shot on the medical frigate? And Mark Hamill tweeted back, it was 4 months after principal photography. Irvin Kershner and George Lucas decided they wanted a more upbeat ending, so we filmed this. It was not a reshoot, because it was actually planned. But there you go.
Yeah, there's a weird thing with people just making shit up about stuff. It's kind of like how they made up how Luke was in a car accident, and so
Mark
Lucas
Hamill was, and that's why they did the Wampa scene,
right? Which this has been debunked by George Lucas and Mark Hamill. Like that wasn't true. It did not happen.
Yeah.
Star Wars fans love to make shit up, like Grey Jedi. Anyway,
although God bless Mark Hamill for actually communicating with people on Twitter.
Yeah, he doesn't give a fuck. He just does not give a fuck. So there's some news for the open world Star Wars game. Some good news
by Ubisoft.
Yeah, by Ubisoft, which is which one is this again? It's not.
There's so many.
It's not Eclipse.
No. So let's see. There's Jedi Survivor and another,
which is probably the one we're gonna get the soonest.
Yeah. And then there's another shooter also by Respawn, I believe.
Which we don't know. Yeah, we don't know anything about that. It's not We know it's not Battlefront 3. It's another FPS.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's Eclipse, which is probably years out at this point.
If we ever get it,
is going through so much shit.
Yeah. And then
I feel like there was one.
There's the mobile game that was delayed.
Yeah, that one.
And I think you're right. There was like one other thing.
And then there's Ubisoft's Unnamed, Unmentioned open world Star Wars game.
Yeah. So turns out that they're looking to hire programmers and project managers
at Ubisoft Toronto.
Yes, for this open world thing, which is great.
Yeah, this is the studio within Ubisoft that does a bunch of the Tom Clancy games and a couple of Far Cry games.
Yeah.
And since studios tend to
Far Cry is a huge thing too.
Yeah. Video game studios tend to stay within their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So if you want an idea of what this is like, probably Far Cry is
which Far Cry is cool, and they're all open. I think.
Yeah, open world looty shooty.
Yeah, all of the ones that people know about right now, because I know there's some earlier Far Cry games
that were a little weird.
Yeah. But there was one that's set in prehistoric.
Oh yeah.
Times, and it's you're in a tribe and you have a bow and arrow and you can make a hawk attack people and shit. So yeah, it will probably be. So Far Cry also is a first person FPS too, which is or not FPS, open world, which is a little strange when you compare it against other big open world like Red Dead Redemption,
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, which are all third person. So not much is known about it aside from that.
Yeah,
but hopefully
just that they're hiring, which means they're probably out of pre-production if they're hiring specifically programmers.
Yeah, or there's at least a part of it that they want to get started on.
So if you want to go work on a Star Wars game, you really don't. You can apply to work at Ubisoft.
Yeah.
StarWars.com has a press release about the Hidden Empire miniseries.
Yeah.
Written by Charles Soule.
Yeah, Charles Soule's next thing, yeah.
Probably the best writer in Star Wars comics right now.
In Star Wars comics, he's 100% the best writer. Might be one of the best writers in the entire franchise, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a continuation of the Crimson Dawn storyline that we've been going through in Star Wars.
Yeah, which we haven't quite finished yet. It has to do a lot with Kira and Chief Bassoon.
Yeah.
So.
And so this is happening between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and Kira is this big crime lord, and she's having her big showdown with the Empire.
Yes.
And since we know how episode 6 starts, we have a kind of an idea of how this story is going to end, but it's always the journey that matters, right?
Yes. Jacob Baker asks, can you guys see chat? No, you cannot.
It's impossible. Our eyes don't actually work.
Selective blindness. Yes, of course. Which, by the way, a question from one of our viewers. Do you need to read Star Wars novels to understand Star Wars?
Absolutely not.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. In fact, I think that they try really, really hard to make the films so that you can just walk in and not know anything about it. You can take your grandma to go see Star Wars and she can have a good time. And
because that is good filmmaking.
Yes. They started to get into the weeds a little bit with this with the end of Solo: A Star Wars Story, because the people who are like going with their boyfriends to go see Star Wars.
What the fuck is that, Darth Maul?
Yeah, they're like, wait, didn't he die in episode 1? And they didn't realize where it was in the timeline. And so
my favorite part was that they made him turn on his lightsaber just to prove that it's Darth Maul.
Yeah, as if it were like a different Ziprak with face tattoos
and robot legs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I think that Star Wars novelizations are a double-edged sword for me, or not novelty, but like novels, and any of the peripheral stuff around Star Wars.
Like the time they announced that Palpatine was back in Fortnite.
Yeah, that's actually that's a different thing on its own though.
Yeah.
But it's a double-edged sword for me because on one side it expands the story and I get more stories with the characters that I love. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons I think people are so attached to the idea of Legends Luke Skywalker, because those stories were coming from a time where we didn't think we were getting any more Star Wars. So that's what it was. That's who Luke Skywalker was. We're in these books. On the other hand, everyone kind of reads it and takes from it what they want, and that in their head becomes Star Wars, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole magic of Star Wars, is that it belongs to everybody. And you can kind of like,
like not legally speaking,
right? Yeah, don't go and make a shitty Darth Vader fan film and then get pissed at Disney because they don't let you monetize it. Like, don't do that. The problem though is when we all come together and start discussing stuff, because people kind of just make up their own headcanons about different character motivations and stuff like this. And it's one of the reasons why, like Last Jedi, people weren't able to divorce themselves from this kind of ludicrous idea of Luke Skywalker.
He's gonna go take on the whole First Order with just his laser sword.
Which that's the funny thing about that, is that that's exactly what he ended up doing anyway. But it's like Legends.
Well, yes, but no.
Yeah, Legends Luke Skywalker was insane. Like and it was cool to read. Don't get me wrong, and they're still kind of making him insane. Like I don't think that actually Luke Skywalker is that much different. But we care so passionately about Star Wars, and we want other people to see Star Wars the way that we see it, and so we get into a lot of arguments about it. And it's like religion. It's just like religion. Yeah. It's like you read a Bible verse.
I mean, you have accepted Luke Skywalker as your personal Lord and Savior.
It's as much as an atheist could possibly do that. But it's like, in religion, you read a chapter from the Bible, and you can get 20 different interpretations from it, and then people kill each other over it, right?
And not only that, this is getting afield, but the issue with the Bible is that God only knows how many different translations, which can change meanings.
Right.
But anyway, back to Star Wars.
That's something I could talk passionately about for hours. Jacob Baker says, I love Star Wars. Well, if you love Star Wars, you can put a similar question in the chat for us to read next week, some kind of think piece, or something that's more than just a yes or no question.
I want to add one more point to this debate before we put a knot in it.
Yeah.
The other big issue with all the Star Wars novels is that there's a lot of really bad ones.
Yeah, there are. There are bad comics too.
Yes.
They're like, there is. I don't think I don't think Lucas cared very much about it anymore.
Not at all.
And he's like, you got to start. That's fine. Make me
Like,
some money.
this-
As long as that book sells, it's fine.
This was the time between the original trilogy and when the prequel trilogy got made.
Yeah.
When Lucasfilm was putting the license out to just about anyone, and you could if you could write 80,000 words on Star Wars, they'd publish it.
I'm sure there are fan fiction writers that were all of a sudden authors from Star Wars, and that's how they got their start. So feel free to put a question in the comments for next week. We'd be happy to answer it. And we move on now to a really fun segment that we call Star Wars Storytime. What is Star Wars Storytime, you might be asking?
What is Star Wars Storytime?
Who is?
How is Star Wars
Why
Storytime?
is Star Wars Storytime? So, because I have no life, I read, it's just like we were talking about on this question, I read a lot of Star Wars, comics and books and stuff. So I read something, bring it here, I retell it to you.
Mostly accurately.
Right. And this week we're expanding. So last week we did Obi-Wan #1, which is a new multi-issue run about Obi-Wan, obviously. And today's Obi-Wan #2, A Shadow Falls on the Padawan.
Ooh.
Now in the last issue,
Obi-Wan was having this
very
flashback.
right. He's writing in his journal that Luke Skywalker eventually finds.
Yes.
And kind of like writing down all of his life lessons, like, don't do this will get you in trouble, don't do this. And he reminisces about a time when he was very young at the Jedi Temple, and one of his friends tries to leave the Jedi and ends up leaving the Jedi, and they have a whole adventure and in Coruscant and stuff.
And he goes back and Yoda's like, now you gotta mop the temple.
Yeah, you're out past curfew, so now you will be punished. So old Ben is at it again. Because there's a violent sandstorm looming on the horizon.
Sure.
And that's what you do.
You're gonna go inside, close all the doors, and just write in your journal.
Reminisce. Yeah. So he takes the book out, opens it, dusts off his he gets his pen or whatever the fuck they use in Star Wars. I don't even know. In fact, I think in Star Wars they'd probably just be using a data pad. But he lives on Tatooine. He doesn't have anything fancy like that.
Yeah.
So he sits down. He starts to write, and he's like, imagine this in Ben Kenobi's voice. I can't do a good Ben Kenobi, but fucking get over it.
Hello there.
Yeah, exactly. As a wise man once said, sand is rough in course and it gets everywhere. I burned him alive, but he's not wrong. You know who else really sucks?
Technically, he didn't burn him. The lava did.
That's kind of like saying I didn't lie. I just admitted something.
I didn't shoot him. The bullet just penetrated
Right.
his body.
Yeah. I didn't punch you in the face. You just ran into my fist. So anyway, I burned him alive. Anyway, you know who else really sucks? Darth Maul. Darth Maul fucking sucks. Hated that guy. He came around. He was looking for Luke. He fucked around and he found out. And
he got cut in half again.
Yes. He didn't cut him in half, but he does obviously kill him.
Yeah.
He's like, this reminds me of my old master Qui-Gon Jinn, the master of fucks around and finds out. And he tells a story that starts decades past. He's a Padawan under Qui-Gon Jinn, which the way the hierarchy works is you're a temple student. I think they still call you a Padawan, but a bunch of masters are responsible for you. You go to classes and stuff, and then when you get old enough, Jedi Master chooses you as an apprentice, where he is your only they are your only teacher, and that's the part of his life where Obi-Wan is. He's probably 17 or 18.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. And they are starting their mission to a system called Kodia, which is in the mid-rim. So Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan pull up to one of the moons of Kodia. And Obi-Wan was like, okay, listen to this shit. I was reading about this place. It's a mining world, but they're always talking like the reason we're here is because it's all of a sudden really dark, which is stupid because I can see that sun shining on the planet. And in fact, there's a light source over there too. So I don't understand. Like they said that you can't see a few inches in front of you.
It's very strange.
Yeah. And he's like, how does that even possible? I don't understand. Why are we here? And Qui-Gon's like, oh, Obi-Wan, you stupid boy. Like, you've got all the answers, but you don't even know what the fuck the riddle is. And Obi-Wan's like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, it doesn't. Qui-Gon says it doesn't matter. There are people here who need us, and service to others is the strongest source of light. And Obi-Wan's like, oh, it's a lesson. I get it. Okay. And he's like, no, you don't get it, but that's okay. We have to have the adventure, then you'll get it. So they land. They step off the ship. Everything is pitch black.
Huh.
Can't see 3 inches in front of your face. And
who's the idiot now, Obi-Wan?
Exactly. So Obi-Wan's like, okay, this is all very weird.
Yes.
I'm not getting a response from their command center, and they've been quiet since they sent their distress call out this morning. And Qui-Gon's like, oh, this actually probably isn't good. This is looking real bad. And so, and Obi-Wan's like, okay, so they weren't exaggerating about how dark it is. So they put together these modified macro binoculars. That they're pretty much just night vision goggles, right? So they put them on, and even with them on, they can't really see very far. So an ominous rain starts. They've got their night vision. They fucking pull their hoods up because they're badass Jedi, and that's how Qui-Gon Jinn rolls. And so they start to do a little walk around, try to figure out what's going on. And so old Ben is narrating in his book. He's like, now, when I say it was dark, that's an understatement. Like, I literally could not see a single fucking thing, and all of a sudden I get like the heebie-jeebies. And so there's a panel where younger Obi-Wan is like reaching for his lightsaber just because he's feeling a little anxious, and everything is real weird, and it's dark, and, you know, shit happens in the dark you don't want to talk about. And Qui-Gon stops him, and he's like, who the fuck are you going to hit with your lightsaber?
Just fucking relax.
Yeah, he's like, you can't even see your own feet. You're probably going to hurt someone.
Yeah.
And so Obi-Wan's like, okay, fine. And he like calms himself.
Okay.
He's like breathing in, breathing out. And then
Okay,
like
lightsaber.
his brain starts working again. He's like, this is really insane. Like, there must be some kind of energy field or something that's absorbing all the light. Yeah. And Qui-Gon turns to him and he's like, there are people who need us here. Like, they're probably in trouble. Some of them probably are dead. I understand it's a very interesting puzzle, but you need to get your head in the here and now. And Obi-Wan's like, that's a good line. You should save that for a movie that comes up where you are in it. So narrator Ben, who I'm calling old Ben, is like, okay, here's the thing about Qui-Gon. He could be an absolute bastard. He marched to his own drum. It pissed everyone around him off. But I'll be goddamned if he wasn't always right about everything. And it's so annoying. But that's what everyone knew about Qui-Gon Jinn, is that he could be stubborn, but he's always right. It just pissed everyone off. Mm-hmm. So they find the command center. They go in. And Obi-Wan's like, oh, I'm sensing a lot of fear all of a sudden. And Qui-Gon's like, yeah, that's probably not good. It might actually be lightsaber time now. And so they pull out their lightsabers, they turn them on, and they notice that their lightsabers are more dim than usual. Oh. And Obi-Wan's like, what the actual fuck is this? And Qui-Gon isn't even looking at his lightsaber, like, does not give a single fuck about his lightsaber. He's like, something has got his force sense, right? Mm-hmm. And Obi-Wan's like, hitting his lightsaber and like trying to figure it out and everything.
Shaking it.
Yeah.
Checking
and
the batteries.
Qui-Gon finds someone hurt laying on the floor, just muttering. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of this central theme of this comic so far, is that Obi-Wan always is thinking about something that isn't right in front of him, right? It's always something he's got to figure out, and Qui-Gon is trying to teach him, like, you're here. You're a Jedi.
You need to fucking focus.
Yeah, you're here to help people. That is literally our only purpose, is to help people. So, like, you need to get to it. So they find this guy. He's just muttering weird shit, like something about someone going mad. And Obi-Wan like finds him and he examines him, and he's cut really badly. Like something had like torn into him. Yeah. And like Qui-Gon starts like looking around a little bit, like and he knows that there are diamonds all over the floor, because this is one of the things they mine on this planet are these like diamonds. Yeah. And so he like picks up a diamond and is looking at it, and like Obi-Wan's trying to like talk sense into this guy that's just muttering crazy shit, and Qui-Gon's just like starting to put pieces together, and it's like, oh, this is really weird. What the fuck is up with these diamonds? Like, did someone try to steal them? And Obi-Wan's still talking to the injured guy. And he's still muttering, and finally he goes still. And Obi-Wan's like,
he's dead, Jim.
Yeah, this dude is dead. And Qui-Gon, like, walks over to, like, the computer and, like, starts typing on it. And he's like, we need to get this outpost back online pretty quick. And he's like, no, this guy is dead. And Qui-Gon's like, yes,
Yes, we've established
He's
that.
dead. There are other
Not
people.
much we can do about it.
There are still other people here that need our help because I sense them, and I know you sense them as well. And if we don't help them, they're going to be dead just as badly as this guy is. So, Obi-Wan, move your ass, please. So, Obi-Wan's like, okay, cool. So he goes over to the computer. They're like trying to figure shit out, and he's like, there are really weird radiation readings. Like, I don't understand this. And Qui-Gon's like deadly weird. Like, are we going to have cancer now? And he's like, no, it's just like everything's like fluctuating wildly. And I'm starting to wonder, like, is this the thing that caused all this darkness? And Qui-Gon's like, oh my fucking God, please, please keep your head here. So they hear a scream off in the distance in the building, and so they turn and they draw their lightsabers. And Obi-Wan's like, no, our lightsabers are absolutely way more dim than they used to be. And Qui-Gon's finally is like, yeah, okay, this is really weird. I don't understand what's happening now. And Obi-Wan is like, is this like a dark presence, like a Sith? And Qui-Gon's like, I don't think so. I don't sense evil, just some real crazy chaotic shit.
Yeah.
And old Ben is like, for the record, I was eventually right about the Sith thing, but Qui-Gon died before I could gloat about it. So I'm writing it here in my journal. Dear Qui-Gon,
eat shit.
It wasn't the Sith in this particular moment, but it was eventually the Sith. So there's another scream, and they see a weird shadow running around. And Qui-Gon's like, Obi-Wan, do you see the weird shadow that just ran away? And Obi-Wan's like, yes. He's like, go chase it, please. And so narrator Ben's like, here's another interesting thing about Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't think I've ever once felt fear from him. Not a single time. And I didn't feel fear from him now. I knew he wasn't afraid of it. And this is the thing. Like, the only thing that mattered to him was helping someone in need. So he's going to let me, the young and vigorous Obi-Wan Kenobi, go and chase the shadow, and he's going to go find the people screaming because that's where he is most useful. Now, was the young and vigorous Obi-Wan Kenobi scared? Yes. He was lucky he didn't shit his pants. So Obi-Wan starts chasing the shadow, and as he gets closer, you can kind of make it out, and it looks like a fucking werewolf, like this tall, wolf-looking thing. And he's like covered in blood, and he's like, "Man, does it always have to be a werewolf covered in blood?" And he's like, "All right, Mr. Werewolf, you stop right there. I'm a Jedi. You're under arrest. I don't know.
You need to stop killing people if you're the one who is killing people.
Yeah, and if you're not, stop being a werewolf.
Don't kill people.
Yeah.
I guess. So
the werewolf immediately turns on him, hits him, and knocks him across the room. Right, and Obi-Wan's like, "Okay, ow!" And he stands up, dusts himself off, and the creature can do this thing where he just randomly disappears and then reappears. So narrator Ben is like, now, it had absolutely occurred to me that I might have been tripping balls. Then I remember Qui-Gon saying that I was so focused on the solution to the puzzle that I didn't even take time to understand, the actual puzzle. And so the next shot is Obi-Wan taking his night vision goggles off and dropping them on the floor. And he's like, all right, asshole, let's see how you can do against the Force. So he calms himself down. He turns his lightsaber off, closes his eyes. The creature lunges at him, and he just fucking roundhouse kicks it right in the face. Just knocking it right out. Just fucking falls to the ground. And Qui-Gon, who is just walking up, is like, he has this guy by the shirt with him. And Qui-Gon's like, that was a sweet-ass roundhouse kick. And Obi-Wan's like, thank God. I was really worried no one would ever see that, and no one would believe me. Who is this guy? Did you save him? And he's like, yes, I saved him, but he's a thief. So they're here to steal diamonds. The dead guy back there was a thief too. There's still some real weird shit happening here, so we need to get the outpost back online. It's more important now that we get it online. And the thief is like, yeah. So the thing about the generator or whatever, we use the photonic charge on the fuel rods. And Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon both look at each other.
That's some impressive technobabble.
Yeah, and Qui-Gon gives him a grin. And he's like, you just figured it out, didn't you? And he's like, I sure did. And it turns out that because of the solid accelerants that's used in the generator caused some peculiar radioactivity with the charge. And
technobabble.
It created an effect where the entire light spectrum was absorbed.
Okay.
Now, the problem is that it's not just happening here in this mine. it's happening everywhere on the moon,
Yeah.
which means that everything is going to die, right?
It's not great.
So, and then they both look down and the werewolf is gone. And Qui-Gon like turns to
I thought you fucking kicked that thing.
I should have kicked him harder. So Qui-Gon like looks at the thief and he's like, so is the werewolf yours too? And he's like, I have no idea what the fuck that thing is. And Obi-Wan's like, yeah, it's definitely not with them. Like I sensed something pained about him when I was facing him. And Qui-Gon, just listen to me here for a second. I think, and he's like Obi-Wan's thinking to himself, I can really do good by Qui-Gon here. He's like, I've got an idea. Let's turn off our lightsabers. The radiation might be damaging the kyber crystals anyway. We can just depend on the Force. And Qui-Gon looks at him all fucking smug and proud and shit. He's like, that's how you do it.
That's my Padawan.
So they make their way deeper into the outpost and they find a bunch of dead bodies and boxes of diamonds. And the thief is like, oh, hey, I know those guys. Well, now they're dead. And suddenly they're being shot at by someone. Qui-Gon just uses the Force to like smack the blaster out of his hand.
Stop it!
Like, quit!
Stop it!
Quit that! So it's one of the miners, and he thinks he's going blind. He's like, everything's getting dark. I don't understand what's happening. There was light, and then there's not light.
Look, there's technobabble shit.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
So yeah, they explain to him what's happening. He's like, so I evacuated everyone, but I'm like the supervisor, so I stayed to investigate. And I told him about the dead bodies. He's like, I found these guys. They've been mauled by a creature. And they figure out that the creature is one of the miners. And he's this particular species that can use light to disappear and reappear. And Obi-Wan's like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah. And so the power core incident, because he has something to do with light, it made him go crazy.
Okay.
So the miner's like, yeah, so he's crazy. You need to go kill him. And Qui-Gon's like, we absolutely will not be doing that. Like, we're here to help people. We're Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
We're not fucking gray Jedi. We're real Jedi, and we help people in need. So, on cue, the miner is grabbed by the werewolf, like around the throat. Qui-Gon watches, and Obi-Wan pushes him with the Force and knocks him over. And Obi-Wan tries to reason with the werewolf. He's like, listen to my voice.
Just fucking chill out, dude.
You're going insane, but it's okay. And, of course, the werewolf just tries to kill him. Yeah, and runs away. And, Qui-Gon's like, Obi-Wan, I think it's probably time to start solving this puzzle, don't you think? And he's like, what? He's like, if we reignite the fuel rods, his madness will be cured. It'll fix the whole fucking thing.
Sure.
So you go fix it. So Obi-Wan and the miner go and fix the fuel rod. This whole thing about how Obi-Wan has to like lift the fuel rod into the hole, and there's this like blinding energy that's released. Obi-Wan loses consciousness, but he wakes up and he can't see. Right. Obi-Wan's like, oh shit, did I die? And he hears Qui-Gon's voice. Is like, nope, you saved everybody. Good job. And here's the werewolf. He's not crazy anymore. And the werewolf's like, sorry, I tried to kill you guys. And Obi-Wan's like, I'm over it. And so Obi-Wan finishes up his journal entry. It's like, that's where I learned the lesson Qui-Gon was trying to teach me. Light and shadow are always fighting each other. Also, gray Jedi aren't a thing, and he's tired of people saying that he's a gray Jedi. Period. Closes the book. Done.
Then he went to bed because it was still a sandstorm.
Yeah,
out there.
right. Next week will be Obi-Wan number 3, I believe.
Hey, we need to get out of here.
Yes, we have Battlefront here in just a couple of minutes. We do hope that you guys can join us. We'll be playing video games. It'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully some hate mail, maybe.